Hey there, Clone Club. Mark Decode here from Solo Talk Media and your host for the Orphan Black podcast. And this is my double take for the Orphan Black episode that aired on Saturday, May 10th, 2014, titled Governed as If It Were by Chance. Now, this was another great episode. They promised us on Facebook and on Twitter, on all the social media, they promised us a very exciting episode, and it was. We had a lot of stuff happened, a lot of some questions answered, more questions asked of us, and I'm really looking forward to discussing it in my podcast later this week. But for now, I'm going to have my regular 3 questions for you. My first question of the week is, does Carlton know more than he's letting on? Now, Carlton is the man that Mrs. S met up with. He was the one that brought Sarah, according to Mrs. S. He was the one that delivered Sarah as a baby to her, and he that's all he says he knew. He tells her now that he knows, he gives a name, and sorry, I don't remember the name off the top of my head, but he calls him the ferryman, was the one who delivered Sarah to him. So Mrs. S asks his help to find this person called the ferryman. But I'm just wondering, is he telling the truth when he says that's all he knows? So that's my first question this week. Does Carlton know more than he's letting on? My second question takes us over to Allison. We saw Allison hit rock bottom last week and this week, and she's in rehab and she doesn't even realize it. She doesn't know where she is. She doesn't remember agreeing to any of this. So a lot, as I said, she spiraled way out of control. So my question this week is, will Allison emerge from rehab as a stronger person? What's she going to do when she comes out? Is she going to be more in control of herself? Is she still going to be paranoid like she has been? Let me know. Just what do you think? What type of person will she be once she comes out of rehab? And my final question for this week is, what were Daniel's plans for Sarah? He had her tied up in the shower there, and I want to know, if Helena hadn't arrived to quote-unquote save her, what do you think Daniel's plans were for her? I've got my theories, and I'll share them on my podcast, but I really like to know what you guys, my listeners, what do you guys think he was planning to do with Sarah? So those are my 3 questions for this week. Number 1, again, does Carlton know more than he's letting on? Number 2, will Allison emerge from rehab a stronger person? And number 3, what were Daniel's plans for Sarah? So those are the 3 questions. Now, I would love to get your answers for those 3 questions, but I'm going to throw another challenge for you this week. I love getting those answers from my listeners, but I'd like to hear a little bit more than just that. So is there another question that I'm not asking that you're wondering about? Give me a theory on something. It might be what's happening with the Proletheans. It might be what's happening with Cassima. What might be what's happening with Cal and Kira. Is there another question that you're wondering about, or that you're just not sure what's going to happen? Well, include that in your feedback, or just overall, just tell me what you thought of the episode. What were your funniest parts? Was it something that Felix said? Was it who knows? So just give me your thoughts on the episode. And if you include the answers to these 3 questions, great. If you don't need to answer these questions to submit feedback. But I'm just doing this to help you. Anyways, so you got my 3 questions. How do you send me feedback, you ask? I'm glad you asked. You can send it in a number of different ways. You can post something directly underneath this video. If you're watching this video on YouTube, you can just leave a comment down below and I'll go grab it before my podcast. You can leave me a note on Facebook. It's facebook.com/solotalkmedia. And while you're over there, make sure you give the page a like. So I will go grab anything from there if you leave it there. You can send me a quick note on Twitter @solotalkmedia. But the easiest thing to do would be either to type up a message or send me an audio file via email at feedback@solotalkmedia.com. You can call the voice feedback line at 1-805-910-7656, or visit solotalkmedia.com and use the SpeakPipe widget that's found on the right-hand side. You just click on it. It says leave voicemail. You just click on it and you use your computer's microphone and leave me a message. So those are the ways you can contact me. The deadline, as always, is noon on Tuesday. So you have till noon on Tuesday to send me your feedback if you want to include it in the podcast. I also like to throw this out to my UK listeners. If you're a little bit behind the time, if you're seeing this and I know you're about 2-3 episodes behind what we have in North America, you can still send me your feedback. You can answer these questions if you want. But I would just love to know what you guys are thinking of Orphan Black. Even though you are a few episodes behind, if you're listening to the podcast on your schedule, you might be a couple of episodes before you hear your feedback, but I'd still love to know what you guys in the UK or elsewhere in the world, what you're thinking of the show. So anyways, that's it for this week. I hope you join me on the podcast. It should be released on Wednesday as usual, and I'll see you next week for my next double take. Till then, take care.